Tom Aspinall, he returned. It's been almost a year in the making since he suffered a pretty horrific knee injury against Curtis Blades, and what was potentially, kind of like a title eliminator for the heavyweight championship right there. Now, Tom Aspinall, number 5 ranked in this division, he gets a pretty tough test, AJ. Marcin Tybura. When you look at him on paper, he's got pretty impressive stats, but when you look at the narrative behind Marcin Tybura, I think a lot of people are looking at this as a layup for Tom Aspinall. I want your opinion right now on why Marcin Tybura is going to be much more formidable than people think.
Derek, the grit and the toughness alone that Marcin Tybura possessed initially, it will get him past a lot of what people are expecting. Tom Aspinall himself addressed it. Marcin Tybura is a very well-rounded fighter, but with the hit list he's been having to go against, with the nails or the hammers that he has had to face, Marcin Tybura has really grown into passing or surpassing that middle tier heavyweight division that we're always talking about. There's tiers to the heavyweights. We've seen it happen. And Marcin Tybura has been climbing those ropes steadily and consistently and looking very sharp on the hands and feet. One of the interesting ones, I'm excited to see how he handles the ground game. We know a lot of these, especially Marcin Tybura, he can get lost in the mash 'em up, if you will. Just getting body to body in the clinch, nothing really going on. But when he's not controlling the fight, Marcin Tybura tends to struggle. Do you see another big X factor that Marcin Tybura is going to bring to the fight that's going to kind of surprise Tom Aspinall?
I think you kind of nailed them all pretty much on the head right there. But the biggest thing that I would take away is simply that durability and the will to win, man. For a heavyweight, Tom Aspinall, once again, he mentioned this too. For a heavyweight, when you start getting roughed up pretty bad, a lot of guys look for a way out. They look for a way to try to get out of that scenario. Tybura wins a lot of these fights based on getting smashed pretty much in the very early beginnings of the fight and then weathering the storm and being there when you're no longer able to be there yourself. Tybura does have some big wins. Walt Harris, Sergey Spivak, Ben Rothwell, Blagoy Ivanov. He's got on paper, a better hit list than Tom Aspinall. He's also been in the UFC much longer than Tom Aspinall. But AJ, we kind of got to address the elephant in the room, right? We love Tom Aspinall. Big fan of him here on this program. I've claimed him to be a future champion for a while now. But bro, knee injury wasn't just a little messed up meniscus, bro. It looks like we have a torn MCL, a torn meniscus, and a damaged ACL all was suffered in that Curtis Blades fight, which is crazy to have that much damage from such a non-real contact injury. But coming from our knee specialist here who has suffered the knee injuries yourself, Tom Aspinall, he's been itching. A year-long layoff is probably enough time to feel good. But you had mentioned it before, man. You don't always feel great mentally body connection right away, right?
Correct. You're correct, Derek. And the big thing that kind of concerns me with this, even if you're feeling good, you're in the gym, you're not necessarily going at the level you were for so long. When you're a normal fighter, every day you're in the gym, giving it your all, 110%, never quit, never die, just going consistently. Well, you get that knee injury. You're on the shelf for a couple months. You're chilling. Then you get back to the gym. You're not going 100%. You're going at what you can. You're 100%, but it's not what you were previously used to. So what concerns me most for Tom Aspinall, maybe he's feeling good. He's tired of hearing about the knee, but what concerns me most is the fact that he didn't have the length of time he's so used to get prepared for these fights. Sure, he might have done it for the last 2 months at that 100% he was used to, but when he was doing that in the past, it was for the full 6 months, 8 months, whatever long his training camp is. So that right there kind of plays a mental fortitude. I'm curious, Derek, if this is a little bit more of, I'm angsty, I need to get off the couch, this is what I want to do. I'm pushing myself a little bit further than I should be, than the doctors recommend. We all know doctors are cautious. Sometimes fighters are the opposite of cautious. What's the word? Experimental? I don't know the word, Derek. But either way, do you think there's going to be that kind of ring rust that comes out of it, or even babying of the knee that we're talking about? Both of those situations I can see come into play.
I want to say yes, because it seems like that's an easy answer. Yeah, of course, right? But then again, he's already addressed that elephant of saying hey, Tybura, if he has an easy goal, he's going to try to kick my knee out. And I would do the same exact thing if I was in his spot. So I think my man is a little bit ready for that. But, we don't know. That's one of those unknowns that we'll find out come fight night. But we have to look at this in terms of handicapping, breaking down, wagering, whatever you want to call it. We have to look at this as if we have somewhat of a certainty over the type of performance Tom Aspinall is going to bring. No one's ever certain. But at the end of the day, man, this looks like a pretty good spot. London, I mean, you have the opportunity, you're fighting in front of your home people and all that to really put on a showcase performance against Marcin Tybura. But this is the thing, man. Minus 150 is the TKO prop for Tom Aspinall. They think he's gonna knock him out, just get him out of there early. I'm pretty sure the over under on this one is like 1.5 rounds, right? It's not very high. But at the end of the day, Aspinall, 100% finish rate in all of his wins. I mean, Marcin Tybura, he's got a ton of decisions on his record. Even though he's known to be the decision guy, I think the number is 14 of his 24 wins are via finish. So he knows how to finish people. But this goes past round 2. We really haven't seen that from Tom Aspinall. Hasn't gone past round 2 in his last 10 fights. And only one of those fights, I mean, listen, man, only one of those fights went to round 2, and that was against Andrei Arlovsky, and he submitted him in like the first 10 seconds. So, like, we can get starstruck over all of these stats or whatever, but do we see him getting past round 2? That's the real question.
That's an interesting one there. I do see him getting past round 2 is because of the durability that Marcin Tybura possesses, because he hasn't been knocked out since 2019, Derek, and that was against Augusto Sakai when Sakai was coming onto the scene, a little unknown and still on that big rush we saw him have. Before that, Shamil Ibrahimov. So Tybura can get knocked out, but has since then, he's been doing the knocking out. He's been winning the decisions. He's been the durable fighter in there. So it makes it a little rough to say they're not going to just end it in the round 1. But just because of that durability, I'm actually looking at that plus 250 submission prop, Derek. I see that a little more juicy than that minus 150. Everybody's expecting the knockout. But when you're trading blows back and forth, your knee's a little wobbly, you're a little tired, you're a little underprepared, if you will. Man, a submission on a guy that doesn't necessarily have the best submission chops sounds very, very tempting to me.
Yeah, I would agree with you. That's kind of what I'm leaning to. I like the submission prop for Tom Aspinall. I mean, if you look at Marcin Tybura and you look at his last 2 losses, they were both, or last 3 losses, 2 of them are knockouts, 1 is a decision. The point is, it's not a guy that gets submitted very often. You don't have a lot of high-level submission artists in the heavyweight division anyways. I just think Tom Aspinall breaks the mold, man. I think he is that guy that does not fit the mold of anybody else. He's kind of like a Gelatin Almeida to a degree. And when it comes down to it, man, I think we should just kind of give our predictions here. Looks like a smash spot for Aspinall. We know Tybura is going to make it a lot tougher than we probably imagine. But I do think that the reality is Tom Aspinall gets it done under 3. I mean, do you feel me there? Am I seeing it wrong, or what do you think?
I'm with you, Derek. I think Tom Aspinall gets it done in under 3. And in fact, I'll just give my pick. I'm going to snag it before you do, Derek. I'm taking that 250 submission prop, and I'm going round 2. I think that's where Tom Aspinall gets his best work done.
All right, and fair play. And just because we do have some work that needs to be done on these prop bets, and I love me the juice of plus 250 for the submission prop, I will roll with that minus 150 TKO just for picks wise. Folks, if you're watching this and you're like, well, now I'm torn, they're both going to a different decision, then just play it safe and rock with that minus 450 Tom Aspinall money line. Tie it in with maybe Molly McCann over Stoliarenko. We'll talk about that more in a second, but this is kind of one of those more parlay plays, not a just straight hammer Tom Aspinall. Either way, Tom Aspinall, we see him with a big comeback against Marcin Tybura.